This is Anna from Koala Soap, and today I want to try, I've had someone ask me if it's possible to do our tie-dye that we do in the 6 cavity mold, if it's possible to do it in a larger mold, because I guess they want to make a whole bunch. So I'm not going to do a 2-pound mold, but I will do this 20-ounce mold, and we'll give it a shot. So what the plan will be, and this is a tester soap, so I'm probably not going to wear gloves because I don't even know if it's going to work, but it's not going to, it'll just be used for our family. I'm going to use purple, pink, and a green from Stardust Micas. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mix it with alcohol. I have approximately 20 ounces of shea butter here. And someone had asked me if the shea butter was shea butter or if it was shea butter melt and pour. This is pre-made shea butter melt and pour. All I do is I cut it up into cubes and I put it into a Tupperware, and then I measure what I need as needed for whatever mold I'm using. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and melt these down. I'm not going to use any fragrance today because I'm not quite sure how this is going to look, and I don't want to waste my fragrance on this. So we're going to melt this down and we'll be back. Okay, and we're back. I only melted one of these 10 ounces because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it cool down just a little bit, not a lot, and then we'll pour the other half on top of it. So what I'll do here is I'm going to pour just a little bit of alcohol. Just because we're going to be using our little pipettes. Put the purple in. And then we will be putting our pink in. And then we will be putting our green in. So we will mix these. We're not going to put it in our shea butter. We're actually going to put droppers. And if it's a little thick, you know, feel free to add some more alcohol in there. You know, you may need to, especially on these two. Okay, that's much better. What you need is you need it to be a consistency that you'll actually be able to pick it up with a pipette to put into this. So we can imagine this is going to be a longer mold, but basically, again, this is why I get these little tester molds. If it works, wonderful, we can do it in the other molds. I'll use a pipette, one for each color. We will start with the green, and we're just going to put a drop down. If they're not perfect, don't worry about it. It's an experiment. And we'll put our pink in, which may be a little bit harder to see because the mold itself is pink. You may have colors, you know, joining in and melting together. That's okay. And I've never done this before, so what I don't want is a big glump of color in one spot. I don't mind if they mix together. They'll be a pastel regardless. Okay, I don't know if you can, I guess you can see that a little bit. So what I have now is our shea butter, which is at about 162. Which is fine for what we're going to be doing, but let's just make sure because I didn't really stir it out there. Okay, so 160, 162. Our trick here is the funnel spout is perfect because you want to pour directly onto those colors so that they don't just coagulate, you know, at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour right on top. Oops. Now I will swirl around in a circle. Okay, so we have that poured. If you can see it, we have a nice little swirl going on in there. The chopstick is a little big. I just want to kind of make sure there's really not a lot on the bottom. I'm going to stick a skewer in, or if you have, you know, just something thinner, you could use a chopstick, I'm sure. I've never done this before. I just want to make sure I disturb it very little. So basically I'm running it down the edge on the bottom. And I'm going to put that aside. There are some air bubbles here. I want to squirt them. I'm going to wait just a second so that I just don't make it mush together. In the meantime, because I don't want this to be that hot, I definitely don't want to pour this in the 160s. I'm probably going to pour it at the maybe 140s. I'm going to go ahead and start warming this up while this is setting. I will squirt it with alcohol in just a second. Let's go ahead and get this melted first, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, this is at the 140s. What I did do, because it does look like it's going to work, is I added a sampler from Brambleberry called Apricot Freesia. I am going to now go ahead. This has, I think, a little bit of a skin on it. It does, on the ends there. What I want to do right now, and this is where I'm thinking it may not work well, I want to go ahead and take our dropper again, and I want to test it and see if, I did spray it with alcohol. I want to see if the alcohol's dry, but I also want to see if this will float on top. I'm hoping it will. It looks like it will. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to put some more drops here. Just randomized drops. Don't think too much about it. Okay. And I can tell the alcohol kind of wants to disperse it a little bit, but we'll see how it works out. And stir these a little bit so they're not too concentrated. They're not dispersing too much, which is a good thing. All right. And then the apricot smells really good. If you get it on top of another color, don't worry about it. So I'm not sure if you can see all those little droppers. I think you can. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this. It's just out of curiosity. Let's see what temperature we're at. 144, and that's in the 119, sorry. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to do this again. We're going to try and pour right on top of those droplets so that we can get them to disperse. And the funnel cup is pretty much a great tool for this. So there is a little bit of a skin, and that's fine. And I don't want to just pour on once. I want to pour all over, because if there's a color there that's just glopped together, at least I have a better chance of moving it around. Okay, let's give it a second. And what I usually like to see is the color rising up a little bit. It tells me that it is working. That's how we do it with our little tie-dye. I'm going to take our skewer again. I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm just going to zigzag around. Make sure we don't have any clumps. We're trying really hard to make sure we don't, but you might. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to probably wait about 2 minutes. I see some purple coming up there. I'm going to wait about 2 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spray it again. Depending on how much color comes up, I might even put a little bit of a top on top of it. But we'll see. Let's just go with this first. I'm going to go ahead and wait for this to set a little bit, and we will be back. Okay, we're back. So I've marked these off at 1-inch increments, and I'm going to take a pipette, and I've remelted a little bit. I kind of want to just design the top. This really should be warmer than cooler, or it's just going to get stuck in your pipette like it's already doing. So what I'm going to do, and know that whatever pipette you use will most likely not be able to be used again. I'm going to go ahead and rewarm this up, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I've rewarmed it up. I squeezed whatever soap was in here out to see if we could do this. I'm going to put it here. So what I do is I took a skewer and I just kind of made a little squiggly line just to kind of give myself a little guide here. And I'm going to draw it up, and it's best to draw it up when it's warmer. I'm just going to make little dots. Is I'm actually going to make those and do dots of those too, so we just kind of have dots everywhere. So if you want to try to save your pipette, of course we'll save the soap that's in there, is you want to put this under warm water as soon as possible, and you want to just start trying to milk it out. Sometimes what will happen is it will split on the seam here and you'll have to throw it out. I bought like, I think a pack of 300. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to melt a little bit more shea butter, and then we'll do maybe a green and maybe a purple, and we'll just do dots on top. You want to be careful of squirting your alcohol, because of course what will happen is what happened here. It'll just disperse, but you can still cover that up just as easily. But we'll have, that way it gives us a little bit of a texture on the top, and it'll be a fun design. So we'll be right back. We're going to warm up a little bit more, and then we'll maybe do some purple. Okay, and we're back. So I put a little bit of purple in here, and I'm going to just draw that out. And looks like little cobblestones. So I don't know if you can see it, but I think if the inside design especially doesn't look great, we will at least have this design on the top that we can, you know, kind of showcase, you know, especially if you're doing this for little baskets or something like that. Make sure you milk this out before it dries too much, and then you're going to set these in hot water and wash your hands. We're going to go ahead and let this sit. I don't think I'm going to put any more pink on it. I think I'm just going to see how it all works out. Okay, and we're back. I went ahead and unmolded it, and there's the top. There's the bottom. So far it looks okay. So let's see how it looks on the inside. That should be very interesting. Okay, so I don't see a lot of color in there, so I'm glad we did the top. Let's see what else we get here. So it's little to no color. So the top, thank goodness we did it. The color, so what I'm thinking is it's just too much soap. So I wouldn't do it in a loaf mold. It just wouldn't do the tie-dye in a loaf mold. Normally I wouldn't even post a video, but this was a request. But I think it was a, for lack of a better word, a flop. This is our little end piece. It still smells good. The top looks great. What we could do is, because the top is so nice, I have some, I think I do have some embeds, so 1 second. Okay, so what I did was I re-melted a little bit of this. I've sprayed the top with alcohol. I have these little Easter egg embeds. They're a different color. Some subscribers have said I should use a paintbrush to paint the embeds on. There's less excess, and I'm testing that because I'm using a pink. And we can just kind of... What we could do is you have the soap here, and then you have these cute little embeds. You could put another egg in there. I think if you're going to use these embeds, I would probably fill it just halfway so that the eggs are a little bit flatter. Other than that, this will be staying home obviously, but I do like the design on the top. We cannot really do the tie-dye. It just doesn't show up too well. It just mixes. You could put some embeds, maybe some flowers or some whatever matches your design up top, which really is adorable. I think what we would do next time is I would just go ahead and put in shavings, or probably just some shavings of soap. So that is it for now. This is Anna from Koala Soap, and we did a little bit of the piping decoration on the top. We know that this tie-dye will not work in a loaf. It'll just mix in. And we could always put embeds to try to save the soap. These embeds I think are too big. I would probably seriously make them half the size, and then I would put them on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a really good week.